Hello, everybody. I want to talk to you about a book I've been reading. I didn't think I'd be doing a book report, but this book is just so fascinating that I feel like it's worth sharing with other folks. But before I do that, I want to give a caveat. When you serve two masters, sometimes you have to do things to serve the one that is counterintuitive to the other. But it's a delicate balance, and I think we all have been in that place where we have to serve two masters simultaneously, and that cognitive dissonance that comes from it. So I don't think I'm stretching it, but once I fill in the blanks, there's a lot of stuff here that is charged, is emotionally charged. So I'll just get into it. So I'm reading a book called Reality Denied by John Alexander, PhD. Here's the book. And the thing that drew me to this was actually a show on the History Channel, the Secret Skinwalker Ranch. And I don't remember what seasons, maybe season 1 or season 2, that they brought out John to kind of reminisce about his experiences there, and how he described the phenomena that's going on at Skinwalker Ranch really caught my attention, and I even had to go back and replay it and jot it down, which is something else too. If you watch that show, record it, and then play it back. Once, watch the show, but 2, go back and watch it again, but look at the stuff that is on the monitors, on the walls, documents that are pinned to walls, maps. There's a lot of interesting data being shared, but not being spoken. So we'll just leave it at that. But anyway, so this is Reality Denied by Colonel John John Alexander, PhD, and he has a long distinguished history in the U.S. Army. He's retired now, of course. Was in the 101st Airborne. He enlisted in 1957. Had obtained his college education while in the Army. He had a BA in sociology, MA and PhD in education. For a while, he was a Commander Special Forces. He was the chief of human intelligence in the Army, and also was the director of advanced concepts at the U.S. Army Lab. So he's got a long, distinguished career within the military, but when you peel back the first layer, then you have something else going on. He reports having had a near-death experience, so he's part of that subset. He's obviously did some studies into metaphysics, and we're going to go into that detail now. So he advocated for the use of the development and use of non-lethal weapons within the military, which may seem counterintuitive, but again, if you're in the business of human intelligence, you want to interview those people that are enemies and try to figure out what do they know and how is that information disseminated. So there's a lot of value in that. He also had, I thought was really curious, he was looking at the military applications of the paranormal. Really interesting if you could email a poltergeist to a world leader that you weren't real happy with. How do you combat that? Part of his reasoning for applying the paranormal into Army intelligence was I think his influence with the I think it was called the New Earth Brigade, but that group within the Army that was trying to develop Jedi warriors. One of the things that, one of the esoteric means that I know he was involved with was NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming. He also assisted Major General Albert Stubblebine in redesigning the Army intelligence structure so that it would include the paranormal and New Age technologies, call it technologies, like remote viewing. So he actually plays a pretty predominant role in the movie Men Who Stare at Goats. So that's also kind of a Hollywood version, but it's also something to maybe to look into if you're interested. So he's serving two masters essentially. We have the metaphysical world and we have the Army, and they seem to be so counterpoint. But someone who's had a near-death experience and embraces and engages those things, it's obvious. So the very first chapter in his book that he starts out with was his experience with Robert Bigelow and the National Institute for Discovery Services, or NIDS, which also plays a predominant role in Mr. Skinwalker Ranch. I'll get into that in a little more detail, but a little more about his background was after his service was over with, he was still involved. He still, I guess, maintained his clearances and still had his contacts and everything from the past. So he was a program manager for a while in the non-lethal defense aspects at Los Alamos National Laboratory. So you can imagine, again, the moving from the Army and being subject to requests for information versus going private and no longer be subjected to that Request for Information Act. Now, this has a trajectory, and there is something that, again, service of two masters, sometimes you need to provide your own impediment sometimes. So in 2011, he was at a MUFON symposium, and he denied all government-related conspiracies and all claims of government silencing, air quotes, and harassment. Literally, he was jeered off the stage. So I'm just going to hold space for him to kind of have his comment. And again, if he was in human intelligence and was in the New Earth Brigade, it's like he knows things. He knows things, and maybe he needs to do the opposite of a Bob Lazar, in the sense of, instead of just releasing it because I feel like I need to, and then how the cards fall, so be it. Maybe he already knows how the cards fall, and so he needs to protect that. And so we have kind of the mirror image of a Bob Lazar type action. The summary is that the man knows shit. He knows a lot of stuff. He's also established protocols around fringe science. So it's not like he's been read into. He was directly engaged and involved. So that's super important to keep in mind. But I also think, he's dedicated to his military experience, and so maybe he needs to serve that master. Maybe I need to maintain my pension, maintain my clearances, stay alive. I don't know to what extent he knows, and what could be dangerous. So, but going in a little more to the NIDS side of things, especially out at the ranch, we'll come back and check that out just a second.